In this video, we're going to talk all about layers. And layers can get complicated. I want to break it down in the easiest way possible, so let's play around with layers. First, you need to know where to find your layers. So you're going to go to the very top right, and you're going to see your color menu right here, which is a circle. You're going to see your paintbrush menu, which is the paintbrush. The little finger pointer is your smudge tool. The eraser is your eraser, and right next to that, in between the eraser and the color menu, is your layers tab. So to get to your layers tab, you're just going to touch those two squares, and that brings up the layers for you. You're always going to start out with a background color layer and a layer 1. This is true of every new canvas that you create, every new project. You're always going to have these two layers. Depending on the size of your canvas, you can create a certain number of layers. So if you have a very large canvas, you can only have a limited number of layers, but if your canvas is very small, you're going to be able to have a lot more layers. And it'll tell you that when you're creating your canvas, how many layers are available. So let's start out by creating a new layer. So right next to where it says layers, there's a plus sign, so you're just going to tap that. That creates a new layer for you. And we're just going to draw on this layer. So we're going to draw a squiggle. I go back to my layers tab by pressing those two squares next to each other, and you can see the thumbnail filled with that artwork. So I can see everything that I've drawn on this layer in this thumbnail right here. That makes it easier to sort the layers and to see which one you're working with. If I wanted to add a layer on top of layer 2, I just hit the plus sign, and I'm going to add a layer in a different color. So let's say this color right here I'm choosing, and I'm just going to paint over this. And you can see when I'm painting that I'm painting directly over the other layer, so I can't see parts of the other layer now. If I want to reorganize this so that this light green is below the dark green, I can go back to my layers tab, which is over here, and you see that layer 3 is showing in the thumbnail, all of the artwork on that layer. Now I want to move layer 3 below layer 2, because the order of the layers shows in terms of what you're seeing with your eye. So if I want to move layer 3 below layer 2, all I have to do is touch down with my finger, and I don't want to drag it into here. I want to move it between layer 2 and layer 1. So right here, and I release my finger, and now you can see the light green is below the dark green. So I've reorganized the layers so that layer 2 is on top now. Now the name of the layer doesn't change unless you change it. And this has nothing to do with the order of the layers. So you'll see if I create a new layer, it'll be layer 4, which doesn't really make sense because it goes layer 1, layer 3, layer 2, layer 4. I can drag this layer 4 wherever I want, and it's still going to stay the same layer 4. I can rename the layer just by tapping where it says layer 4, and it comes up with a whole list of options. So I'm just going to rename it top, and I can still move it anywhere I want. Since this is my top layer, I'm just going to create a new squiggle here, and you can see that this red or orange now covers all of the other layers because it's my top layer. Now if I want to move this red all the way to the bottom, I can just touch and hold and drag it between layer 3 and layer 1. And now all of the artwork on layer 3 and layer 2 is above the top layer, my red layer. So it's masking the red layer. I hope this makes sense. I usually don't ever change the background color just because I can easily do that in my layer 1. and I can move it wherever I want and change the hue really easily. But this is pretty much the basics of layers and moving them around. We'll get into the menu options on the far left, so we'll get into all of these in a later video. So you don't need to know that right now, but if you want to rename your layers, that's a good option. So you can tell, especially if they get really complicated, you can more easily tell which layer it is. Although you should be able to tell just based on these thumbnails right here.